Well, I can say I'm a byproduct of Sparkman Homes, Terry Heights, Lakewood community. I grew up north side of Huntsville. Had the privilege and the pleasure of playing for Jack Dawson High School at Butler High School. But also, there was a lot of great coaches there. Coach Coggins was a baseball coach. A lot of people may not know I was drafted professionally in baseball out of high school. Played for Al Smith, and then football wise, played was high school parade preseason All American as a receiver. So I got a chance to run a full gamut of high school best years of my life, and of course basketball wise, 6A Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, and I was the area's first Mr. Basketball around these parts. I'll tell you, the most important thing is you got to have an attitude of gratitude. I mean, is what I try to instill in guys. I a lot of the literature that I read, a lot of coaches know when they walk in the gym who can play. The things that coaches look for are what are some of the things that are going to eliminate, players or elevate one player over the other. And a lot of it is mannerisms, how they treat. Do they sprint off the court? Are they receptive to coaching as they come off? How are they on the bench? Are they in tune after they make a mistake? Are they zoning out? These are things that the nonverbals that college coaches, when they're in attendance, they want to see what kind of body language do players have. Are they cheering teammates on when things are not going well? What are they doing to contribute to winning when shots are not falling? So it's a lot of things that kids think, oh, I can't contribute to the game because I'm not in there. That's what coaches want to see because when they show up, they know you can play. They know you can play. That's why they're there. They get paid to eliminate player A from player B because I tell kids all the time, they're here in Huntsville, but they're here in Birmingham, and they're comparing you to kids all over the country. It's just because you're the best in your area and your name is in the newspaper, don't think that you're not being compared to other like players that's in your position. And coaches are not in the business of looking for somebody to get them fired. They're looking for guys, those diamond in the rough, those guys that make good grades, those kids that are well behaved. I had a coach tell me one time during the recruiting process, I want to be able to go to the ATM and feel comfortable walking and not having to look over my shoulder. That's the definition of character. Well, I'll tell you, as a former assistant coach, I've had the privilege to be assistant at Belmont University, Tennessee State, Howard University. I've been basketball ops at the University of Alabama, UAB. A lot of the conversations come down to character. Can we trust this individual off the court? We know that they can play. Again, I'm going to reiterate that it's not about your ability, who can make a three, who can make a layup, who can make a pass. When assistant coaches who aspire to be head coaches, all we can do is make suggestions. It's up to the head coach to make a decision, and he's going to base it on where they academically. And I will tell you, the elephant in the room today is social media. These young men that are posting things on social media, it's going to get them in trouble. That's a quick way for them to be eliminated. If they're throwing up signs, if they're stacking, if their money, you know what I'm saying, is changing hand, I mean, they're just being knuckleheads. But that's eliminating them in these quote unquote war rooms as far as character is concerned. When they show up, then they start to already have a profile against this a player A and player B. Well, if player A's profile is negative on social media because they're checking it, everybody's Instagram, everybody's Facebook, they're checking those things. I will tell you that's the elephant in the room, you know what I'm saying, as well. Not only off the court, nonverbal, academically, but they need to have a clean social media history because they're turning over everything right now. I will tell you that it's a dirty game when it comes to that. You and I are both assistants. We're aspiring to move up in the coach's eye, to get the next pay raise, their pay grade. And what happens is you may go and dig up something and pass it on to the head coach because you want your kid coach to make a decision and pull the trigger on. And we're both recruiting uh, wings, and yours is not as adept at shooting threes, but yours have better character mind. Then the question is, does the talent outweigh the headache? And so now you get into, well, look at this. This kid is maybe involved in some legal activity according to his social media. So it gets back to that, can I trust you off the court? Because you only have 20 hours to work with student athletes a week and then 8 hours in the off season. So what are you doing? Are you in the gym? Are you working to improve your craft? And if I can prove as assistant coach that my kid has better character and he can be more trusted, he may take a less talented kid with that scholarship. Well, I'll tell you, information, is important. And the the best way I can tell you as a parent is if you've ever been recruited, then you have some insight. If you've had a child, then let's have a conversation of what you want for your child and how you want them to be portrayed and how you want them to be recruited. But for those parents that have never been recruited, you cannot live through your child, and we can't have paralysis by analysis. You can't look to the left, can't look to the right and say, well, this kid is getting recruited. You got to be focused on supporting your child, doing the things in communication with the head coach, the counselors, making sure that they're sound academically. We start with the clearinghouse. Are they registered with the clearinghouse when they start their junior year? And if they're, because that's going to be the vehicle that starts their recruitment to let colleges know, hey, this kid is a recruitable student athlete. And once they're sound academically, you as a parent, you've done really what you need to do. And then you have that communicate with the AAU coach and with the head coach. Y'all talk about your development out there and let the coaches do their job. Too many times parents are overstepping their bounds and they want to coach their kids as well. And I just tell, kids that play with me, I have a long lineage. I can help you if you allow me to. Parents, I can help you if you allow me to. But if you want to do my job for me, I'm gonna take my whistle off and I'm gonna bless you, what I'm saying, with that opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's a tough situation, with kids being able to transfer and go. Coaches have to toe the line a little bit. But the one advice I would, share with the parent is this investment, this time right here for your child. Either you can use it the right way and get a good coach and y'all can work together. That school has hired that and entrusted that coach to make decisions. Those are not your decisions. As a coach, I'm not going to come on your job and tell you how to do yours. So please respect, what I'm saying, me and if my vision and my goal for the program, see, parents look through loving eyes, coaches look through subjective eyes, and they got 20, 30 kids that they got to make decisions for. And I understand that parents want their child to be numero uno, but have the same respect. I'm not going to come on your job, tell you how to do yours. So please respect me and my boundaries, my vision for my program. And if it doesn't fit, then I'm not going to say anything negative about your child. He needs to go play for, somebody else. And parents need to, understand that, hey, look, it's about doing what's best for all the kids in the program and not just your child. Well, the advice that I would give them is if they're not dreaming big, if they're not uncomfortable with the way that they work, then are they really working? You can't confuse activity with accomplishment. I have parents tell me all the time I drop my child off at the gym. Well, the child can go in the front door. You see how many exits there are in this gym? They could be headed out the side door and the back door. So you can't confuse activity with accomplishment. A, to have a plan. Every day that I woke up when I was growing up, I had a plan for what I wanted to do. I may play pickup and I say I'm going left every time, and that was a weakness. I'm going to shoot nothing but pull up jump shots because somebody said, hey, you struggle shooting the basketball. So when you're playing pickup, have a plan. And then you got to have unbelievable dreams, and then you got to work when nobody else is working. If you don't feel uncomfortable in what you're doing, are you really pushing yourself to the next limit? If you've seen all the documentaries, all the great players are uncomfortable in their work ethic. They're unorthodox. You can't do what everybody else is doing and expect to be great. So if your ticket to greatness may not look like somebody else's ticket to greatness. Your path and the things that you have to overcome just to get to the gym may be different than somebody else's. So if you're not walking with people that are working the same dream that you're working with dream killers. And there's a lot of players, and I tell them this every day. Man, you can't hang out with A or B because they don't see your vision. You can't be great hanging around with guys that don't share the same vision that you have. Okay, so that's just me. I always listen to older guys. I pick the brain of guys that are in college. Why am I still hanging around and talking to guys that are in high school? They're where I am. I got a destination. I got somewhere to go. I want to go where the college guys, and if I'm in college, I talk to guys that, were pro guys because that was my ambition. I want to take the next step up. There wasn't anything anybody can tell me that was around me doing high school. I talked to college guys. I picked their brain. Hey, what's practice like? Because I was already going to be prepared once I got there. So freshman year at Vanderbilt, they went like 6 o'clock. We're on the field. I found out the hard way my freshman year, 5:55. I'm climbing over the fence to the football field because we were getting ready to run. I had to show up the next day at 5 a.m. because I was late. The trainer and the working guy told me, if we're stretching, you're late. Not putting on your shoes, we be in. So you got to get your body ready. And that's when I understood that the investment in the body is the most important thing in college. So we would be on the field running 6 to 7, shower, class from 8. We had to be done by 2 o'clock with all our classes. Only day that we can go late is on Thursday because there was never a travel day. We played mostly Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday in the SEC. And so 3 o'clock, we're lifting, and then we had to play pickup every day. Friday and Saturdays were the only exception. And so the time we hit campus, 6 to 9 weeks of training to get ready for the season. And that was every day. And then the guys that wanted to be great, they were in there after we got finished lifting and playing, they were getting shots up. Young fella like myself, freshman year, had to go to dinner. Breakfast and dinner were mandatory. Protein, rehydrate. We had to weigh in before practice and weigh in after practice. If you didn't come back in half your weight, That means you didn't put enough liquids into your body. You couldn't practice the next day. So it was just to that point, and then I had study hall 2 hours a night, 8 to 10, and I was in. If you want to do something after 10 o'clock, that was your time. But from 6 a.m. to about 8:30, at 9 o'clock, it belonged to the university, to your scholarship. Well, for me personally, I would tell parents, let your kids be kids. All this training and all this AAU, you're not getting scholarships in middle school. If they're going to do that stuff in middle school, let them play. Just go enjoy the game. Because kids, by the time they're juniors and seniors, they really burn out if you start the mental training too early. So let them be kids, let them enjoy the process, and by the time they get to ninth grade, just make sure they're on par academically. They're taking all the right classes. Go to the NCAA.org, look at the 4x4, understand the path academically, for math, for English, for stuff, and make sure that they're taking classes that's going to transfer college-wise. Understand the academic verticality academically. And then, as far as the kids are concerned, they need to work with older guys, respect the game. Too many young guys coming in think they know everything, so they're not listening to the older guys. At Butler, we had a simple cliche: tradition is a responsibility. It was the older guys that had to teach the young guys and the ways of that program. And if coaches have been there for a while, put it on the players to have ownership. So there's a lot of cars with no steering wheels, which means they have no direction. Coaches are there to direct and steer and put direction in the lives of these players. Parents, get on board with the coaches. Y'all share a vision because you have something in common, which is that child and that product. Children, be students, be sponges, and listen. And I think the process will go smooth.